Before we get into the video, I just want to say whoever has any story or any horror story that happened to them, you guys can go to my Instagram or my Facebook that will be link in bio. Let's get into the video. I slowly start to open my eyes and I see myself at the living room, laying down, and my family were next to me. I heard my mother and father call my name, John, John, but I couldn't speak. It was like my lips were sealed shut from what made me shocked. After 20 minutes or more, I finally woke up. My parents were sitting next to me and asked me, "What happened to you?" I told them, "What am I doing in the living room? How'd you find me?" My mother said, "We were asleep. We heard you scream so loud, we ran out the room and seen you in the middle of the living room laying down. But what happened to you?" I told my mother, "Impossible, impossible." My father said, What's impossible? What happened?" I told them, "I was in the locked room in the basement. What took me to the living room?" My father said, "What room in the basement?" I told him, We have to move out, please. Please let us leave this house as soon as possible." My father said, Hold on, calm down. Tell me what happened and why we should leave the house." I told them, "I went downstairs and I opened the door. That was locked, of course. And at the corner of the room, I seen an old wooden door. So I decided to open it. And when I did, I seen an old lady with a scary face. After that, I don't know what happened. I didn't wake up till you were next to me and I was in the living room." My father said, "You were probably dreaming. There's nothing." I told him, No. How can I be dreaming if I was in the living room?" My father said, "There's nothing." We went back to our rooms and slept. But the very next day, while I was sitting in my room, I heard a knocking on my door. I told him to come in. It was my father. He had came in with a bottle of water and he placed it at the table next to me. He started talking to me, and all of a sudden, I heard mom calling my name from the kitchen. So I walked over there, and she told me, "Your father called me and told me he was coming home and needs his papers, and he's in a rush to take them out. He will come here any second." I was shocked. I was shocked from my mother's words. I told her that my father was in my room. My mother said my father has been working since the morning and he just called her right now. I ran so fast into my room. I was shocked. My father was not in the room. I heard a knock from the front door. I ran so fast to open the door and I seen my father in front of me. I was talking to myself. I seen my dad. I know I seen him in my room. What just happened? I told my parents what happened and what I seen, but they didn't believe me, of course. I returned back to my room and I was sitting in my bed. I was thinking about everything that happened to me. I turned my head to the left and seen what left me in shock. I seen the same water bottle that supposedly my father had left on the table. At the time, I made sure that this house is not normal. At night, my little siblings were sleeping and me and my parents were awake at the living room. And all of a sudden, we heard my little siblings screaming. We ran so fast to their rooms We opened the door and we seen them holding each other, crying and scared. We asked them what happened, and they told us. We seen an old lady with really long hair and a really scary face standing next to the window. She was staring and laughing, and when she heard us start screaming, she disappeared. My mother told them that they were probably dreaming because they were watching too much movies, and there should have nothing to be scared of. And I told my parents, no, that's the same woman I seen in the basement room. And again, my parents didn't believe me or my siblings. We started going back into our rooms, and in the middle of the night, I heard my mother screaming at the top of her lungs. My father ran out of the room to their room and seen my mother and asked her, What happened? Why are you screaming? She said that she was watching a film on the TV and she felt like someone was sitting next to her. And when she turned her head, she seen a shadow-like person sitting next to her. My father said that she was probably imagining it, but my mother swore she seen a real person and it wasn't imaginary. She kept saying, this house, we need to leave. We can't stay here any longer. We have to leave. We have to leave. We have to leave. My father took my mother to her room, and I returned back into my room, and I felt like this was all my fault. Everything that happened was after I opened the locked door. After a few minutes, I heard my father's room door open, and I left my room, and I seen my dad in front of me, and I asked him, how's my mom doing? My father said that she is tired, and he will get her some sleeping pills. After a while, I heard my dad scream, so I ran so fast to him, and I seen him sitting at the corner of the kitchen, scared. And I asked him what had happened. He told me that he went to the kitchen to grab my mother's sleeping pills. As soon as he opened the cabinet, he felt something was behind him. And as soon as he turned his head, he seen the same woman that I seen. Old lady with long hair and a scary face that disappeared quickly. Once my father finished talking to me, we heard the TV turn on by itself. Me and my father went into the living room. Once we got there, we didn't see anybody, just the TV turning on by itself. Once I turned off the TV, we heard the sink in the kitchen turn on, and the kitchen lights turning on and off. We went to the kitchen. We seen the sink running, and the lights were flickering on and off by themselves. We turned off the lights and closed the sink, and we went back to our rooms, scared. The next day, we woke up to my mother screaming, saying, "Who did this?" I left my room, and to my shock, we seen the whole furniture back to the same day we placed them on the first day. My mother kept saying we need to leave the house, but my father didn't want to leave due to his work. He told us to put everything back at the same as it was, and he'll think on what to do. The same day and night, when we were all up in the living room, we heard strange sounds and voices. We heard things breaking in the basement. And every time we heard it, it got closer and closer. Once it got closer, we heard something break, and we heard a screaming voice. All of a sudden, we seen the tables and chairs float in the air and drop. Same with the spoons and forks and plates. The main door was opening slowly and shutting fast. The windows opened fast and closed fast. All of a sudden, after an hour, everything went back to the way it was, like nothing had happened. My father said that is enough and that we need to leave the house immediately and return back to the old state. The next day, my father woke up the first one. He rented a moving truck and he brought workers with him, and they loaded up everything in the truck and we left the house. But as we were leaving the house, I sat in the car looking through the window. I seen the old lady looking at us in the window, smiling and waving goodbye.